We can't beat around the bush with this one, man. We're starting this video out by talking about Jeff Patterson's comments on the Sakaris and Price show from yesterday. I've been in that Vancouver Canucks locker room for 25 years. We've been doing this for 15 years. I don't think I've ever said this, but there is a weird vibe in that group. There just is. It's undeniable. What are we talking about? Well, we are talking about the Vancouver Canucks and the dynamic, the relationship, how things are getting very, very ugly for JT Miller. And I'm not even going to say for JT Miller and Elias Pettersson. I'm going to say for JT Miller. Because especially with the way the game ended yesterday in Utah, of course, the Canucks are playing off against Vegas later today, so they're going to get right back in there, back-to-back action. Kevin Lankinen probably is going to get the start, but JT Miller is the topic of conversation today, and we are going to read some tweets from fans that are responding to all of the discourse. Here's Nikhil going out there and talking about this. Pettersson and Miller need to figure their crap out. Your two best players not being able to play a single shift together is legitimately insane. That makes no sense. Both players decided to stay in Vancouver over going elsewhere. Of course, he is referring to the power play, the fact that Miller was on power play 1, the other night Pettersson was on power play 1, and then they'd been swapping back and forth. It is very, very intriguing. A dressing room divide so vast that Pettersson and Miller can't even play on the power play together? This is unfathomable, Cam Robinson goes out there and says. Yeah, I could agree with that. You're supposed to probably stack up your power plays, right? I get that Danton Heinen scored a power play goal the other day because Elias Pettersson was on that unit, but still, you cannot have Petey and Miller together? That is very, very, very weird. If you stop hating on Elias Pettersson for his hot crap IG summer from 5 years ago, even if just for 10 minutes, you'll realize that JT Miller is in peak 2022-2023 form. Some suspicious effort levels and giveaways tonight that shouldn't be justified by the corny ass "he cares so much" line. And what Cody is referring to is JT Miller's 22-23 year that we were all hating on the guy for. Remember this season right here? He had 82 points in 81 games played. He was lazy. He was just swearing all the time. He wasn't back-checking. This season was when everybody started to turn on JT Miller because he had signed that huge $8 million AAV contract extension. And it was all washed away because the season after he had scored 100 points. Miller was back. He was playing under target. He was getting points. He was doing good things. But that season beforehand with Bruce Boudreau, oh, PU, this season stunk. Now, I know he had a point-per-game season. That's still great. But Miller went from 99 points to 82 points in a season where he looked so lackadaisical and not as effective as before. He was so slow. He was so disengaged, it looked like. And now Cody's calling out saying, yeah, we are seeing the same thing out of Miller from that season now. What play is everybody referring to in particular? Well, everybody's talking about the overtime. Let's go out there and read some things right here. I always defended JT Miller, but while the rest of his line mates in the power play changed, he skated by the bench and chose to stay on, and then proceeded to cause a Canucks turnover. I can see why Elias Pettersson is frustrated. I never criticized Rick Tocchet, but this crap has me mad. Miller does this a lot, not just on the power play but also at 5v5. He just stays on the ice for too long, doesn't hustle back to the bench for line changes. He's been better at it lately, but it always creeps back. And I didn't even notice this when watching the game yesterday, but a lot of people had been talking to me personally as well. Hey, did you notice JT Miller? Fake line changes. He's not going out there doing the line changes. He fakes it. And we have a lot of people calling it out. In particular, Miller waved off the change, and then he couldn't backcheck because he was gassed. This was in the overtime. He made a great pass to Garland who couldn't finish. This is not on Miller. You can't risk that pass knowing how it'll come off the corner. And, I mean, look, JT Miller going out there and doing that exact thing. Going to the bench, not changing, and then staying out there a little bit too long and not back-checking because he was tired. It's a perfect coagulation of things that just pile up in and of itself that create an ultimate cocktail of not being able to backcheck and play the right way afterwards. Pettersson's power play 2 strikes to open the scoring. Let's face it, the fact that Hughes just runs them both says enough about whose team this is. Yeah, okay, it's Quinn Hughes' team. We're not going to go out there and dispute that. The mistake that Miller made at the end of the game was because he wanted it too much. How many nights is Miller invisible? Not many. People would be more forgiving of Pettersson if he just showed that he wanted it more. Have that drive and determination that elite players have. This Jabo Vancouver tweet is replying to a thought by Coco. I have to ask, I probably shouldn't, but everyone who thinks there's problems between PD and JT, why is everyone so passive-aggressive towards PD about it? And then Jabo replied that, this is copium. If Miller wanted it that much, he would have backchecked. If he was smart, he would have taken a penalty because there was almost no time on the clock for Utah to score. He was pissy, trying to do everything himself, sent a grenade of the pass, and did not backcheck afterwards. That Connor Garland play, man. If Connor Garland just freaking scored it, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But he didn't, it messed up, and now Utah won. And then there's a lot of other things here. Miller doesn't change on the power play, knowing PD is his replacement, forces himself onto the PK, points around, doesn't block the passing lane, and Utah scores. Doesn't change in overtime after playing. There are minutes, he's gassed, he throws a grenade, Utah scores. And we have 6 years of data that JT Miller is the worst penalty kill forward in terms of actual goal prevention in Vancouver. Another cross-seam pass to Genther on the power play goal against while Miller is out there. Why is he on PK1 when the team has actually been alright penalty killing this year? The whole point of winning face-offs is goal prevention on the PK. If the goals keep getting scored against, even though the face-off is at 60%, maybe the face-off doesn't freaking matter, is one perspective thrown out there by Chester Mang. There have been conversations about JT Miller's effectiveness on the penalty kill the past little while here too. I get that he's a good face-off guy, but if you win the face-off, dump it down, and then maybe go for a change, maybe that's the right way to go about it. But then again, Miller likes to play, right? He likes to stay out there. Another reply, since JT Miller has been back, I've seen 0 smiles from Elias Pettersson and 0 points on the score sheet. He was having a time of his life when Miller was gone. You can see who runs that locker room and who that voice is. Maybe it's time for a change in the dynamic. Pettersson played over 5 minutes more than Miller on 5v5. Miller only played 12 minutes on 5v5. It probably contributed to the stunts he pulled because he was mad. This is speculation, but ice times and a 5v5 sample for both would definitely play a part into any sort of a decision like this if you were to try to rationalize it. I know, we're almost done here, folks. We're almost here at the top, but JT Miller had 3 shifts in overtime, and they got progressively longer. 49 seconds, 53 seconds, a minute 13. A total of 2:55 out of the 4:47 JT Miller went out there and stayed. But according to JT stands, he stayed out longer every shift because he wanted it. No, he was being selfish. JPAT then goes out there and says, OT shifts are often extended if a team has possession, but 113 is pushing it. Then again, if the Canucks had scored in their chances, the final shift would not have been an issue. And that also is very true as well from JPAT, that if Connor Garland just buries it, then it works. Nice galaxy brain move by Miller to make sure Pettersson couldn't get a point by not changing and losing the team the game. I take it all back. Gotta respect that level of hate. Here are some of the penalty killing stats that were discussed earlier. JT Miller has been one of the worst players on the team, behind guys like OEL, Juho Lammikko, and Travis Hamonic in terms of, what is this stat? Goals against per 60 on the penalty kill. Ooh, boy. Nice, nice, nice. We're just trying different things right now, says Rick talking about the Canucks power play personnel. Elias Pettersson and JT Miller are on different units, and they have been over the past few games. This has been such a disaster roller coaster of a narrative from last night up until today. Who knows what happens when Elias Pettersson and JT Miller are in the room together? Who knows what happens when they're having conversations on the ice? Who knows? But right now, the JT Miller versus Elias Pettersson stuff is blowing out of proportion. This is getting crazy. And I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about all the discourse that's been circulating on social media, and what are your thoughts on the JT Miller situation that is. Do you trade one of these guys? Are you forced to do that? Or do you force them to live in peace harmoniously before the Fire Nation strikes again? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. 99 and bye.